Authorities denounced the resumption of Israeli expansionist plans to occupy the West Bank and expel Palestinians. The 61st edition of the Munich Security Conference will kick off in Germany, focus on the new United States administration, negotiations with Ukraine and tensions with China. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel reiterated the nation's denunciation of the subversive actions promoted by the United States through organizations such as USAID. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. Now we will review the news system with us. Authorities denounced the resumption of Israeli expansionist plans to occupy the West Bank and expel Palestinians. Palestinian experts denounced the construction of new settlements and roads by Israel, which exposes the strategic expansion plan. They point out that the shelters have been carrying out a gradual annexation in the West Bank since 1967, based on the division of the West Bank into corridors with the aim of separating the Palestinian cities and connecting the settlements by a network of independent roads. The Commission of Resistance to the Wall and Settlements warned of the confiscation of more land and denounced the violation of international law to make life difficult for Palestinians in order to force them to live under the pretext of voluntary migration. In this context, the United Nations Children's Fund criticized the offensive of the Israeli occupation forces against the West Bank. In a communique, UNICEF expressed its deep concern at the high human cost and deterioration of the children's life caused by the attacks and bombardments of the Palestinian territories. The agency denounced that in 2025 alone, at least 13 children were killed in the West Bank, an increase of 200% since the intensification of aggression of October 7, 2023. The officials condemned all acts of violence, specifically in the governorates of Jenin, Tulkarem, and Tubas, and called for a cessation of hostilities in the West Bank for the sake of children and the population. The Palestinian resistance movement Hamas confirmed that it will release 3 Israeli hostages from Gaza on Saturday as a plan after talks with ceasefire mediators, Egypt and Qatar. In a statement, Hamas described the Cairo talks as positive and said that Egyptian and Qatari mediators pledged to work to remove the remaining obstacles imposed by the Israeli regime. The Prime Minister of Georgia accused the U.S. Agency for International Development, known as USAID, of planning color revolutions in the country as well as interfering in its electoral decisions. The USAID was involved in the planning and implementation of revolution processes. There is concrete evidence of this, including video evidence, said Prime Minister Irakli Kovacic. According to the executive, the organization has also been directly involved in the political and electoral processes of the country. In this regard, Kovacic expressed his satisfaction at the new U.S. administration finally talking about all the irregularities surrounding USAID's activity. The Vatican informed on Friday that Pope Francis has been admitted to the Agostino Gemelli Hospital for the diagnosis test and for the treatment of ongoing bronchitis. The Supreme Pontificate of the Catholic Church had met with the President of Slovakia, Roberto Fico, as of his scheduled agenda, but was admitted to the health facility soon afterwards. Due to his health condition, meeting had been held in his residence, Casa Santa Marta, foregoing the usual papal palace. The hospitalization comes after the Pope had to interrupt the homily of Mass in St. Peter's Square on Sunday due to the breathing difficulties. Then on Wednesday, he held the reading of the catechesis to the general audience. Let's take a very short break, but remember you can join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. The 61st edition of the Munich Security Conference will kick off in Germany, focused on the new U.S. administration, negotiations with Ukraine, and tensions with China. The annual meeting, which brings together head of state, defense minister, diplomats, and experts in international relations, will be held from February 14th to the 16th, having current conflicts in the world as one of the key topics of the agenda. The parliamentary report of the MSC affirms that the U.S. is not being seen by the world as a supposed generator of the liberal international order. Precisely, U.S. President Trump assured the presence of Russian diplomats, which was later denied by the spokeswoman of the Euro-Asian Nations Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova. On Thursday, the set of reciprocal tariff on his country's trade-in partners that will match the rates applied by each nation to the United States. After the announcement of the measure, the president signed a memorandum on the matter, which will allow his administration to execute a review process to implement the initiative. Trump assured that the equalization of tariff with other countries will lead to the return of pharmaceutical, automotive, and integrated circuits manufacturers to U.S. soil, boosting job creation. However, analysts have said tariff policy could take backfire on Trump if his agenda increases inflation and slows economic growth, making it a high-risk gamble for the country.
And on trade, I have decided, for purposes of fairness, that I will charge a reciprocal tariff, meaning whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them, no more, no less. In other words, they charge us a tax or tariff, and we charge them the exact same tax or tariff. Very simple. In addition, we will make a provision for subsidies provided by countries in order to take economic advantage of the United States, which a lot of countries do, including our allies. Our allies, in many cases, are worse than our enemies in this, having to do with trade.
According to recent figures, at least 7 out of 10 violent deaths in Mexico are caused by illegally trafficking firearms. According to the National Public Security System, last year's homicide rate reached 72.92%, the highest figure ever recorded. It is estimated that more than 200,000 weapons from the U.S. enter the country each year through criminal creeps, which is why the Mexican government has called on Washington to implement a strategy to increase the effectiveness of fight against the trafficking of weapons that cross the border from its territory and end up in the hands of criminals. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum has questioned the way U.S. military weapons end up in the hands of criminal gangs in Mexico.
How can it be explained that a grenade launcher for the exclusive use of the United States Army is in the hands of a criminal group in Mexico? This is what we need to coordinate and work together to prevent. How high-powered weapons for the exclusive use of the United States Army, a criminal group in Mexico, has them?
The Chinese government urged to avoid a scenario of confrontation and political division in Asia-Pacific regions. Chinese Foreign Minister spokesman Wang Yakun stressed that nations should establish relations and cooperation without involving third parties. The spokesman urged not to push confrontational agendas that create unnecessary tensions that could harm regional and global security. This comes in the wake of the recent meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during which the U.S. President highlighted an increase in arms sales to India, including F-35 fighter jets. In South Korea, 6 workers were killed and 7 others injured on Friday after a fire broke out at a hotel construction site in the southeastern city of Busan. Firefighters said the incident was caused by the use of insulating material on the second floor of the building located on the Jinjan County north of the city. They also said that 20 workers trapped on the roof were rescued by helicopter. In South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa held a military ceremony in honor of the South African soldiers killed in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Our nation is in mourning over the words of the South African president, who also offered his deepest sympathy for 14 soldiers killed. So far this year, the African continent has registered more than 87,000 confirmed cases and more than 1,700 deaths due to mpox. About the countries that have record outbreaks on the continent, 9 are in the so-called controlled phase and 13 in the active phase, including the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Epidemiologist Ngishi Ngogo, head of the Executive Office of the Center in Africa, stressed that although significant progress has been made in the response to mpox, the current insecurity and the pause in funding from the U.S. government pose a significant risk to the control of the outbreak. In this regard, the African Union Public Health Agency warned on Thursday that the funding freeze for foreign aid programs ordered by U.S. President Donald Trump is already impacting the ability of African countries to respond to the mpox epidemic. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch interviews, stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For a short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The president of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, reiterated the nation's denunciation of the subversive actions promoted by the United States through organizations such as USAID, highlighting the financing of projects that seeks to destabilize the country. Díaz-Canel denounced the use of U.S. agencies such as the USAID to destabilize governments and undermine the sovereignty of nations, including Cuba. This situation has occurred since the 90s, with the USAID allocating approximately $20 to $50 million annually to subversive activities in Cuba, not accounting cover funds. According to the recent exposure of the agency's activities in the context of U.S. policy, it reveals the use of humanitarian organizations as fronts to fulfill U.S. hegemonic interests. In Haiti, after a confrontation between armed groups, criminals set fire to a hospital to the country's state university, leaving at least 3 people dead and several wounded. The health center located in the capital, Port-au-Prince, was reportedly left in a deplorable condition. Precisely, the hospital was the only place where Haitians could access medical care, including dialysis. In the aftermath of the incident, health authorities and the media are on the scene working towards reopening the vital institution. At the same time, thousands of Haitian families have been forced to leave the area due to the tension caused by the presence of criminal gangs and the insecurity crisis. Displaced people denounce the government's inaction against the gangs that pledge the Soleno neighborhood and other areas of Port-au-Prince. The Order of Human Rights Defenders warns that violence by criminal groups in Haiti left at least 6,838 people dead and 1,648 injured, and other 1,515 kidnapped last year. Heavy rains in Peru have affected more than 2,800 houses, and 14 others have been destroyed. Infrastructure damage on roads were also affected in the Ica region, south of the country. In a press release, the National Civil Defense Institute reported that the damage includes 2 educational institutes, a health center, 6.2 kilometers of communication lines, 200 hectares of crops, drinking water, and electricity. They also indicate that they are still evaluating possible effects of the hillbillies of the Ingenio archaeological reserves, where tents were installed in the sport complex of the municipality, as well in other districts of Chinguillo, Santiago, Parcona, and Santa Cruz. Therefore, the industry urged to keep the local emergency centers active. In Guatemala, the archaeological park of Quirigua is one of the settlements of the Mayan civilization and has been a World Heritage Site since 1981. Let's see.
El Parque Arqueológico de Quirigua, ubicado en el departamento de Izabal, situado en la región nororiental.
The Archaeological Park of Quirigua, located in the department of Izabal, in the northeastern region of Guatemala, preserves vestiges of the Mayan civilization, which were established between the 3rd and 10th centuries, after the Common Era, but it was not until between the years 426 and 810, when it reached its maximum splendor. Quirigua has an exceptional universal value, which is why it was inscribed as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1981.
La singular Quirigua está formada por 34 hectáreas, terreno que conserva una importante infraestructura.
The singular Quirigua is formed by 34 hectares, land that conserves an important ancient infrastructure, having a total of 17 monuments carved between the years 426 and 810. These are the main testimonies of the Mayan civilization, but for reasons that are not very clear, it entered a period of decline. Quirigua preserves the largest public space known in the whole Mayan area, the Great Plaza, where the ceremonial plaza and the temple are located. It is made up of a structure of pyramids, terraces, and staircases, in addition to the production of monolithic monuments carved in sandstone.
Los monumentos llamados estelas contienen textos jeroglíficos.
The monuments, called stelae, contain hieroglyphic texts describing significant dates of the Mayan calendar and celestial events, including eclipses. Together with passages from the mythology of this culture and political events, as well as social and historical events important for the development of the city. These inscriptions on the stelae compile information between the years 426 and 810, a period of 394 years, making possible the construction of history in the Mayan civilization.
100 masterpieces of the Norwegian painter Eduardo Munch are exhibited at the Palazzo Bonaparte in Rome, Italy. The paintings on loan from the museum that bears his name in Oslo, Norway, examines the anxieties and concern of the human being, with works in introspective from his youth to last years of his life. Considered one of the leading symbolist artists of the 19th century, Munch based his creation with primary attention to color, details, and expression of the self. Among the paintings of this Played in Rome exhibition, which will be open until next June, are one of the lithography version of the Scream, Girls on a Bridge, and Death in the Sick Room. The second edition of the Islamic Arts Biennial is being held in Saudi Arabia, a meeting that seeks to modernize the Islamic tradition. Let's see.
The city of Jeddah, on the shores of the Red Sea, hosts this event covering 100,000 square meters with 5 exhibition halls and numerous open-air spaces, displaying more than 500 pieces, including modern objects and ancient works. The biennial, the first and only exhibition in the world dedicated to the arts of the Islamic civilization, is committed to the juxtaposition of relics with the aim of transforming the ultra-conservative image of this religion.
Islam is a lived system. It is experienced by billions of people from around the world. Our experiences with Islam shape culture, shape our understanding of ourselves. In the Biennale, this bringing together of the contemporary past really emphasizes the change that Saudi Arabia is going through. No other.
This Islamic Arts Biennial features the participation of more than 30 artists from all over the country, as well as guests from the Gulf region and other countries, allowing visitors to view objects and works from various parts of the world. Included in the exhibitions are displays from sacred sites, such as Mecca and Medina, including Islamic holy objects such as the sacred Kiswa. There are also collections from the cultures of Mali, Qatar, and Turkey, and samples from more than 30 of the world's most important institutions, including the Vatican Apostolic Library in Vatican City, the Louvre Museum in Paris, and the Victoria and Albert Museum in London.
Yeah, for me, the Islamic arts context, it's definitely given me a lot of thought and research and diving deeper into what it means to me and what it means to us regionally. And again, it's about, I think, recontextualizing, reframing, putting it within the global context, but also historical, you know? So.
The biennial seeks to offer a perspective on the way in which diverse cultures interact and endure. By combining historical objects from Islamic cultures with contemporary art, it allows to explore the beliefs of faith through feeling, thought, and creation. The exhibition will be open until May 25th of this year.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For TeleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.